Whoo! What's up, everybody? Welcome to our Sunday sermon for Bitcoin Will Come. I believe this is our fifth sermon now. And boy, has there been a lot going on in the Bitcoin world, in the cryptocurrency world in general over the last. Okay, so we're gonna go dive straight into this. Okay, guys, I'm gonna take you to. First, I'm going to cover where the market is right now. I'm going to start off with Bitcoin, of course, first. All right, and now we're talking about BTC Bitcoin, okay? Now, you'll notice that we are at around 13,000, okay? And let's have a look at just the last week. 7 days showing. All right. So that's what we have over the last 7 days. Friday, December 8th. That's pretty crazy. All right. So we had Bitcoin have a pretty crazy bull run over the last week. And yeah, it went from about 11,000 US dollars. All right. I remember even when it surpassed the $10,000 mark, people were psychologically going a bit like, holy cow, we passed 10,000, you know? So after that, it just kept rising and rising and rising and rising and rising. And as you can see here, right, it went up to about 18,000 US dollars. Okay, and that was by Friday. Then Friday hit, weekend came in, and we just started seeing things go down, down, down. And I think a good couple $1 billion just went like that. So some people have been freaking out, especially if they perhaps came in, say, it around here or even there. Your average person who isn't aware of how investing or trading works might be pulling their hair out right now, and because there's such a mania around Bitcoin at the moment, this is highly likely. But personally, I do think Bitcoin will continue to rise over the next year or so, but there are going to be some very interesting things happening between BTC Bitcoin and BCH Bitcoin, and I'm going to explain to you why. Okay, so that is Bitcoin, BTC, and maybe we'll just call it Bitcoin Core. Some people are calling it Bitcoin Legacy. This is one of those things where in the community, people, I think, throw different names and see what sticks, but the community at large is trying to find a way to distinguish between, of course, the Bitcoin that everybody is familiar with from a branding standpoint and Bitcoin Cash. Because out of all the coins, Bitcoin Cash does have the strongest legitimacy to the name. And once again, I'll explain why shortly. So just as a little note about this particular sermon. So I'm just going to go through at the beginning general news that's taken place over the last over the last week. And then I'm going to go into a few of the other altcoins and talk about them and what's happening there and how that relates to the main Bitcoin world. And then I'll also talk a little bit about what I'm seeing in the foreseeable near future based on things that I'm learning as well in real time. So guys, this is a culmination of everything that I'm reading about and I'm learning throughout the week. And I'm just putting the time together to wrap it up for you here. Okay, so let's go through. Yes, Steam. All right. So if any of you are familiar with the gaming world, Steam is one of the largest online game distributors in the world. A lot of people confuse them with Valve, the creators of the game Half-Life, but they're not actually one and the same. Steam is just responsible for distributing a lot of games online. But over the last week, as early as 3 days ago, Steam actually decided to stop accepting BTC Bitcoin Core as payment. And the reason for that was because of the high transaction fees and volatile price. Okay, right here. Now, volatility has existed for a while already, right? Like that's a given, but it has become, I think, just unusable as a cash system for a lot of folks or a lot of businesses who are trying to use it as payment. And this goes against what Bitcoin was originally designed for. And you'll hear me talk about this a lot, whereby Satoshi Nakamoto, in the title of his white paper, which often gets referred to like as if it was the Bible, as an electronic cash, peer-to-peer cash system. Okay, so if Bitcoin cannot be used as a cash system, what utility does it have? What use does it have? Now, a lot of folks are making an argument for Bitcoin Core now simply becoming a store of value. But people forget that that store of value usually follows utility or actual real world use. And the reason why gold has become such a great store of value over the long run for centuries is because it was once used as payment. All right. And, you can do many things with gold and silver for that matter. Right. You can use it for computer chips. You can use it for a multitude of things. But the store of value is followed by utility. All right. And this is a key thing to note when it comes to Bitcoin and what a lot of people, especially in the general public, aren't aware of. So that brings me to IOTA. So actually, I'm going to put this one over there, and then I'm going to bring up the IOTA discussion. All right. Now you might see me jump around a bit, but it's related. All right. So speaking of actual usage, Shazar from the community had put down or had asked about IOTA because over the last week, IOTA, which is another altcoin that has come out, has really shot up in value, and there's been a lot of hype around it. Now, personally, I'm a bit skeptical around IOTA, and a lot of that sentiment has been echoed by a few other users on Twitter. All right, and here's one in particular by Jay Ratcliffe. It says, I was an early adopter of IOTA. I bought 45,000 MIOTA. And MIOTA, the difference, what some people usually refer to MIOTA when they're talking about IOTA. MIOTA stands for 1 million IOTAs, all right, at 21 cents a piece. Now, I would like to sell some, and the network is literally dead. Transactions do not confirm for days or weeks. How there is this much hype for a completely non-functional network is beyond me. Now, does this sound familiar to what's happening with the Bitcoin network now? And if you're watching this, and you haven't yet attempted to try and withdraw your Bitcoin Core, I'm talking about BTC Bitcoin, or transact with it, you might not realize just how much at stake there is with this type of problem. And this seems to be a recurring theme for a lot of altcoins that are starting to grow in scale, all right, and are starting to become more popular. They aren't able to handle the network congestion, okay? So that was just one example, and the discussion underneath this particular tweet was quite interesting because you had folks who are very strong supporters of IOTA, and in a nutshell, I think the hype that is coming with IOTA is the vision or the promise or the idea of a new type of network called Tangle that is, that could potentially replace blockchain or be a better alternative to blockchain, all right? The Tangle technology itself, unfortunately, I won't say it's unproven, but it's still very early days, so there's a lot of work that needs to be done to it, just like Bitcoin had when it first started, right? So that's not to say that it won't work. It's just that there's been a lot of hype. Maybe it's too early for IOTA itself, but these type of issues seem to be really recurring for a lot of different coins at the moment. All right, and here's another one around IOTA. Bitfinex is the biggest IOTA exchange. Okay, so this goes into what could be pumping the price of IOTA. Phil Potter is one of the biggest IOTA investors. Network almost unusable, so no one can actually sell. And IOTA suddenly number 4 in terms of market cap. All right. And I just heard a little pop. Kimberly, thank you. Hey, thanks for watching. Okay, so that's on the IOTA side. All right. Now let's go back again to the congestion side. We've got Ethereum. All right. Let's see if I can find our CryptoKitties. Aha. Okay. So if you didn't hear about this over the last week, I think this is actually quite brilliant. The creator of CryptoKitties and what they did here. Essentially, what CryptoKitties are is a guy or a team group had created a CryptoKitty marketplace similar to Pokemon Go, if you want to think of it like that, but using the Ethereum network. Okay, so the idea behind CryptoKitties was to simplify the blockchain for people who don't understand it, to try and make it something that is relatable. And what's more relatable than cats? And oh my God, like the titles, the memes that came out as a result of CryptoKitties just were hilarious. So the CryptoKitties, some of the headlines were like, CryptoKitties or cats bring down the Ethereum network, and like it's just a good laugh. And I think it was needed as well, because in the crypto world, things were getting quite serious. And, injecting a bit of humor into that was just brilliant. So a great idea, but then it also, unfortunately, caused huge congestion problems for the Ethereum network, which exposed a lot more of its scaling issues. And this isn't just for Ethereum IOTA. This is for a lot of folks, okay? So because white papers are very common for a lot of altcoins and projects in the crypto space, just look at this. They called it the white paper. I think it's just brilliant. So just, again, the abstract. So CryptoKitties will make blockchain technology accessible to the average consumer through 4 main tactics. Gamifying features that leverage blockchain's unique applications. All right, so Ethereum, smart contracts, an approachable consumer-facing brand based on a genuine passion for blockchain technology. All right, let a couple seconds go by. All right, thank you for hanging in there, guys. A sustainable revenue-based model as opposed to an ICO. All right, so yeah, if you get a chance, check out the CryptoKitties white paper. It's actually a very humorous but informative read, and yeah, just do highly recommend it. All right, so I'm gonna close that down. All right, so all in all, that's one of the things that I've noticed over the last week, is that there's been huge scaling congestion issues. And well, I mean, technically that's not a recent thing. It's just been more exposed recently because, we're just hitting sort of those type of levels. All right, so we had Steam, we had CryptoKitties, we had IOTA. Let's see what's up next. Okay, Bitcoin Cash. Now, guys, disclosure or disclaimer, I am very biased towards Bitcoin Cash. So yeah, I do love my Bitcoin Cash, but I have no qualms talking about other coins and developments in the entire crypto world, okay? And I do invite folks on to, ensure that we discuss it and we learn as much as we can from one another. But the SBI Group backs Bitcoin Cash to be used globally for daily payments. Japan's financial giant with a global market cap of almost $500 billion has strongly come out in support of Bitcoin Cash, the newest and yet the oldest digital currency. Yoshitaka Kitao, Representative Director, President, CEO of Holding, says the vision of the original Bitcoin white paper written by Satoshi Nakamoto calls for a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. That is a powerful vision, and SBI Group will devote resources to enable a future world where Bitcoin Cash is used globally for daily payments. All right, so this is one of the reasons why I got involved with Bitcoin in the first place, okay? And what most people don't realize is if you're coming into the Bitcoin world right now and you're investing in Bitcoin Core, BTC Bitcoin, you're actually investing, and remember, this is well, one, an opinion, but also two, an informed opinion. Okay, you're investing in the body of Bitcoin. Okay, BTC Core, BTC Bitcoin, Bitcoin Core is yes the Bitcoin that Satoshi Nakamoto had originally created, but that version of Bitcoin has now sort of been hijacked and going down a store of value path, and that narrative has only really changed over the last year. So this is something to be very, very aware of. And Bitcoin Cash is carrying out the original intended vision of Satoshi Nakamoto, which was for it to be used as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Okay, and when I keep talking about this store of value versus cash, Bitcoin can be both a store of value and a cash system. If, however, it cannot be used as a cash system, which is proving to be the case with the incredibly high fees and the slow confirmation times, what's the point? It's not as revolutionary anymore, right? Visions are the things that take people, that inspire people, that motivate people. But at the moment, a lot of the folks that are jumping onto the Bitcoin bandwagon are looking at it purely from, I can make lots of money out of this. And if you've ever listened to truly successful people, the reason why they end up becoming, well, successful from a financial sense is because they had a vision first and the money came after. This is part of the reason why I called the group and the brand Bitcoin Will Come. All right, it will come. All right, the success you seek or the things that you want in your life come as a result of an intended vision. All right, and you need to have, of course, that money consciousness. But I'm sure people who just put their heart and soul into something and for the love of it, and as a result, the money flows to them almost effortlessly. And then other people who are so focused on just the money side, and then they just keep losing it. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But this is one of the reasons why I believe that Bitcoin Cash is going to win out in the long run, because they are building that electronic cash system. They're not stunting Bitcoin's growth by putting 1 megabyte caps on or calling it just simply a store of value. When you lose the plot, customers, investors, consumers feel it. They know it, all right? Apple, just as an example, right? My iPhone, my Mac OS, when I installed High Sierra recently, I've never ever had the feeling of wanting to move away from Macs, because it's always just been intuitive, simple, it just worked. Whereas ever since Steve Jobs has left, okay, let's get back to it. All right, so SBI Group is going to be getting involved with Bitcoin Cash. That is definitely a good thing. Other things, mathematical proof that the Lightning Network cannot be a decentralized Bitcoin scaling solution. All right, there are some folks who believe strongly that the Lightning Network will be the way to reduce the slow confirmation times on the Bitcoin network and to lower fees. All right, fourth time lucky. Lightning networks cannot be a decentralized Bitcoin scaling solution. All right. The reason for this, it's probably better if you have a read of the article yourself. I'll include all. I've had to go to my mobile phone because the internet connection in my apartment, and even though I was using the dongle, it just was not working. So I've gone to my mobile phone. All right. So hopefully you can find me again, guys. I just hope to death that this stays, okay? All the articles that I have, I'll just have to sort of flip the screen, and then hopefully you'll be able to see that there, all right? So where was I? Okay, let's flip this. Okay, so what we got up next is the battle for true Bitcoin is just getting started, all right? So this was put on Bloomberg this week, and it's actually talking about what I was just talking about. It's that the difference between the Bitcoin that everybody's investing in, BTC, and the Bitcoin that I am very strongly for, which is Bitcoin Cash. And the more, I know there are people who really don't like Bitcoin Cash, and they focus on the Bcash stuff, but I urge you, please research Bitcoin Cash. See where it is going. Make sure you're informed before you just, decide that you want to bash it because you think that it's taking the Bitcoin name, or it's not providing anything new. I can tell you this, it is providing new things. It is innovating on top of the original roadmap that Satoshi had laid out. And just do your research, okay? You will see. All right. So yes, we've been talking about on-chain versus off-chain solutions and Lightning Network. One of the lead developers for Bitcoin Core, by the name of Adam, I forgot his last name, but he did a Bumble recently over the last week, because he also talked. Somebody asked about, what do we do while we're waiting for Lightning Networks? And his solution was for people to actually just start a tab. That was his solution for while people wait. And like a tab that you have at like the at the bar, right? That was the solution. And that, once again, as a store of value, it provides nothing innovative, all right? Next one up, Coinbase sends customers notice of exchange delays. All right, Coinbase is one of the largest exchanges in the world. All right, and I believe on Apple it is now the #1 app in the iTunes App Store, and that's just crazy. Okay, but as a result, they're also experiencing scaling issues, and as a result, money's flying everywhere, all right? And not only that, but the last sermon that we did over the last week, we did talk about the regulation side, all right? So the U.S., the Fed, they've started inquiring or requesting Coinbase to provide the transaction information of anyone who is earning more than $20,000 worth of coin. All right, so that's important to take note of, because I think in the new year we're going to see some very interesting changes in growth, but you will also see a lot more regulatory things come in as well. This particular video, it's called "What George Ought to Help." Now, of course, it has George in it, and that's my name, and so I just thought it was pretty cool. But the actual video is talking about the difference between libertarianism and socialism, actually, and it's a real interesting video to watch to get a better understanding of what philosophical underpinnings created Bitcoin. And I keep going back to that because once you understand the intentions of Satoshi and the original Bitcoiners, you will start to see that when you lose sight of the vision, it can be disastrous in the long run as well. All right, so definitely worth. Once again, I'll share the links. Okay, another one up. Tethers, all right? The murky relationship between the Bitcoin price and Tether tokens is raising suspicions. Oh, what can I say about this? There's a lot of conspiracies around this particular topic, but for those of you who aren't aware, Tether, it's essentially a coin that is pinned 1-for-1 to the US dollar, and it just rose up out of nowhere, so it seemed. And there were just a lot of accusations as to, what exactly is going on here, what's happening, is there some sort of conspiracy or attempts to manipulate pricing and whatnot. And, if we're honest, right, whenever human beings are involved, there's always going to be an attempt to manipulate something somewhere, all right? And this goes back to the whole debate around centralization versus decentralization, okay? Don't get it wrong. The Bitcoin network is decentralized, but there are always going to be people who will attempt to control more than everybody else. And this even goes towards the miners of the Bitcoin network. But if the mining network was truly centralized, then they'd be able to essentially get 51% of the network working together to essentially attack the network, right? That's by design. The Bitcoin network is set up so that it makes it increasingly difficult to try and control it, right? But it's not impossible. People must remember this. It is incredibly difficult, but it is not impossible, okay? So yeah, from the Tether side, this is just, I am staying away from Tether, okay? So if you want to get involved and you want to make some quick short-term gains, by all means, go for it. But this is one particular one that I'm staying away from. So we talked about IOTA and Pool, which is another mining pool. They've created a pretty fancy switch between BTC and BCH. So these are sort of signals again to watch as to what a lot of the miners are setting themselves up for. All right. And when Bitcoin Cash originally forked back in August, they were mining it was not profitable to mine Bitcoin Cash. All right. And over the last couple months, I think a lot of folks are still mining at a loss. And that has perplexed quite a lot of people who aren't in the know. Okay. But I look at these sort of things and, these guys know what's up, right? You don't have to freak out if you become aware and you know what is going on. Okay. So remember, guys, these are just signals. Other things as well. IOTA, so we addressed that. IOTA addressed that. Okay, this particular, Bitstocks is another Twitter account that I follow, which have some really useful information, both from the BTC side and also the BCH Bitcoin side. And this particular article just looks at why a surge in Bitcoin Cash price is not that far-fetched, especially good for people who, may not be fans of Bitcoin Cash. All right. So just bring that up. Okay. All right, so at the bottom it said, one of the most famous Bitcoin bulls, Ronnie Moas, who works for Standpoint Research, offered a positive Bitcoin Cash prediction. In an interview with Cointelegraph yesterday, he raised his forecast of Bitcoin in 2018 from 11,000 to 14,000, I'm assuming US dollars. To be clear, his prediction covers both Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin Cash predictions. In his opinion, the two cryptocurrencies have an inverse correlation, but their total market capitalization is on the rise. In the past, Moas's Bitcoin predictions have all come true even earlier than he had hoped. Besides Moas, other known experts also have offered their Bitcoin Cash predictions for 2008. John McAfee, this guy is John McAfee of the antivirus software. He's a huge Bitcoin Cash supporter, and he's also very paranoid, but it's good entertainment. Also claims the reality of Bitcoin Cash cannot be denied. General figure of Bitcoin Cash predictions around 2,500 to 3,500 by mid-2018. Okay, so for those of you who got in at around 450 or even at 1,500, somebody in the group asked, is now a good time to buy into Bitcoin Cash? And I would say yes, it is. If it is under even $2,000, buy now. All right. Some people are waiting it for it to drop even further, but if you are a long-term thinker, these are some positive signs, all right? 2,500 to 3,500 by mid-2018, and that could accelerate, all right? So, be on the lookout for that. It did talk about the exchanges also. Bitcoin Cash is base currency, so more and more exchanges are starting to accept. Another one to look out for in January, Coinbase themselves will be releasing all their Bitcoin Cash funds. So it'll be very interesting to see, okay, well, what are people going to do with it? Are they going to dump it to buy more altcoins, or will they keep it? All right. I think a lot of people are expecting a dump, or they'll be using it to buy other coins. But those of us, who understand what is going on, we will be holding it. Now, I also want to just bring up a site called yours.org. All right. Yours.org is essentially like Medium. If Medium so I'm talking about Medium.com. If Medium and Reddit had a child, yours would be that child. Okay? So think about this. You write content and you get paid. Look at that. All right? You get paid for quality content. All right? And you also get paid whenever somebody votes. All right? So that's the equivalent of a like. And you get paid when even when somebody comments. Okay, so this site has, it started off with a lot of Bitcoin Cash community members, but as a result of that, it's a very positive and constructive place. And yours is a great experiment around how does something like Bitcoin Cash actually get used in the real world. So yours actually is using Bitcoin Cash to both pay folks and also for you to tip other people. Okay, so just as an example, we'll go to one of mine. So look, I already earned 10 bucks. Holy cow. I'm pretty happy with that, actually. Because when I first started, you just write for the love of it. All right. So this one here, I put in. So on Twitter, people were asking about Craig Wright's tweets, and they were saying, "Man, there's so much valuable information around Craig Wright's content or Twitter posts. Somebody should wrap them up and turn them into a blog post." So I did, and as a result, I ended up earning around 16 bucks just for that piece of content. So let's go to it. And that's $16 worth of BCH, as you can see, BCH. So those of you who are watching and you want to actually start earning, especially if you're a writer, or if you've got something to say, you can actually start earning money in Bitcoin Cash here. All right, it's like mining, but mining is a bit different because you're getting the hardware to do all the work. But you can actually, put some of your knowledge up and get paid instantly. And this is just, it's a very karmic. There's a karmic loop in the ecosystem, which I think is just brilliant. So yeah, I wrote this article summarizing a lot of Craig's tweets, and so that it can be used as a reference for a lot of folks. All right, but see, every time somebody comments, it's 50 cents, 20 cents, 10 cents, etc. Okay, and I think it also shows 1 of 1 reviewers say it's worth paying for, 0 of 1 reviewers say it's not worth paying for. Right, so you get that sort of social proofing in it. Okay, but the reason why I'm showing yours is because there's also some very good, high quality writers here, and I'm starting to get a lot of my information from yours as well around Bitcoin Cash. Okay, and remember, guys, disclaimer, I know I'm biased, but hopefully you guys will see in the new year how things change. And if it doesn't, well, then I'm wrong. All right, but as always, time will tell, and fortune favors the bold. All right, Bitcoin Cash. So this particular writer here is very new to the ecosystem, but he's also very curious and he's very open to learning from others. And he has a very good technical analysis of Bitcoin Cash in the ecosystem at the moment, coupled with some fundamentals analysis. So that's what I do. So everything that I'm showing you right here, this is more like fundamentals type trading research. All right, I'm looking at sentiment across the internet. And yes, a lot of it can be automated. There are people who are doing that, like Cliff High with his predictive linguistics. But, I still kind of enjoy being able to get sentiment readings from across Twitter, Facebook, and all the different channels, and then summarizing it here, okay? So, yeah, I highly recommend this particular author on yours.org, LM Keshav, right here, that dude there. And there's also another guy by the name of Rivers and Mountains, okay? So let me just see if I can find Rivers and Mountains. Right here. Wow, damn, look at this guy's post. All right, Rivers and Mountains. And I know he had another post which was just insane how much. Look at that. This guy, from the one post, he earned $1,207 dollars worth of Bitcoin Cash. Okay? And these guys, they spend a good couple of hours, right, putting everything together. Okay? Bitcoin Cash, be greedy when others are fearful, $405. So this is just a site to be on the lookout for, and it's also good show or demonstration of the application of Bitcoin Cash projects, startups in the real world. Okay, so expect more of these type of things coming out in the new year, and yeah, it's very exciting. Now, also over the last week, I've started interviewing influencers in this space. I did a one-on-one interview with Craig Wright. I did another interview with Ryan X. Charles. So the site that I just showed you, yours, Ryan X. Charles is the founder of it, and I interviewed him this morning. And I'll just play for you this particular snippet. Hold up, get my earphones out. Okay, let's see if that goes.
The vision here is we've got sound digital money that can be used by everyone in the world. The thought that this is going to be something used by wealthy people in, developed nations, and that it's off limits to poor people is absurd. Yeah. That's ludicrous. I mean, that idea is brand new. I mean, no one used to think that in the Bitcoin world. I would say from the very beginning until 2013, 24. I mean, frankly, the thought that anybody is even now suggesting, and I think that.
All right. So that's just a small snippet of the interview. I'll be publishing these interviews in the new year, January, and it'll be both on YouTube and podcast form. But the idea behind the interviews was to go a bit more Larry King style for a lot of the influencers in this space, because there's a lot of technical talk, which is great. But at the same time, my personal belief is if you can get to the underlying philosophies and beliefs of the influencers and the people talking, one, it humanizes them, and two, it also gives you some insights into why they do what they do, why they follow the projects that they follow, and yeah, then you can make your own decisions, informed decisions around, why they're going in that direction, and if you want to follow suit as well. Okay. Now from Bitcoin Cash, and the main coins, let's go over to some of the ICOs and other altcoins. Envion. All right, these guys here. This particular ICO was sent to me via Nish, who's one of the other community members in our group. And what I really like about this is there's been quite a lot of talk recently around the environmental issues or problems surrounding Bitcoin, right? And those arguments are around, okay, right now, in order to be a miner, in order to mine, it actually consumes quite a lot of electricity, okay? And to me, it never really felt like a valid argument. Not to say that it's not valid, but it's like there's always a cost somewhere. Like nobody goes and asks, or looks at the consumption of electricity for the internet at large. If we looked at that, we'd be like, oh my God, okay, let's shut down the internet. Like what's happening with Bitcoin or the blockchain and cryptocurrencies in general is that it will, especially Bitcoin, the Satoshi's Bitcoin, it will become ubiquitous. It will become something that is just part of everyday life. And that was always the intention, okay? And that's another layer that just has not been done before, especially in our internet era. So in order to address some of these energy issues, and this is what I saw coming anyways, right? Like we already have clean energy, we already have solar, we already have there's so many things that we can do to transform that energy and reduce costs, etc. And I think it's just a matter of time before we find ways to optimize that too. It's still early days. So anyways, this particular ICO, they have these mobile energy units, as you can see, or mobile mining units, sorry. And essentially they put these mobile mining units close to electric farms or power grids. So just play this video very quickly. And I think this one just shows how it's created, the units themselves. So once again with an ICO, I'm looking at real world products that are already out, all right, that have good application, good usage. Yeah, and I think this particular video is just showing the inner workings. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, electrical energy. So these mobile units can be placed outside of a solar farm or a coal mining, like any potential energy source. These mobile units can just be stationed right next to them. Okay, and you notice that they got thermal energy output, and then the cryptocurrencies are created. All right, so this is one to definitely keep an eye on. I think I'll be investing in this particular ICO because once again, I've researched it a bit. It's in line with the things that I believe in, and it's also addressing a real world problem that we've just discussed: the energy consumption for the Bitcoin network. All right, so I do look for a lot of innovation coming out from this side of the cryptocurrency space. We also have BitDegree. Now, if you've been tuning into some of my sermons, you'll notice that, you might have heard me talk about Cliff High and his reports. Cliff High, being the inventor of predictive linguistics, talked about in the new year a focus being on self-education. All right, so that means that there are going to be a lot of people looking for information from trusted sources around cryptocurrencies, blockchain, etc. And so anybody who's involved in the education space and does it well, of course, will benefit from that. And I believe he said that that'll last for a good couple of years, if not, the full decade. So this is one of the reasons why I do these things. It's one of the reasons why I am going all in to help simplify and support and educate folks on Bitcoin and Satoshi's Bitcoin and the surrounding ecosystem. All right, but BitDegree is another ICO that's coming out. I'm not too sure if I will invest in this particular one. I've read their white paper. I've been paying attention to sort of the general community chatter. There's promise. They seem to have a pretty nice design to their branding and as well as their team. But yeah, I'm still on the fence with this. So usually it needs to be a hell yes for me in order to want to invest. So we'll see how this goes. The other one, of course, is Naga. And I think there's in their main sale, but Naga token was a particular ICO that was released with Roger Ver's sort of blessings and backing. That's one I still suggest you take a look at. It is not, they've already passed their pre-sale date. Now I think they're in main sale, and I believe there's a couple more days left for that token sale too. Another one is the AMLT token, all right? Compliance. So remember I was talking about regulations and compliance that's definitely going to be making its way into the crypto space. And anti-money laundering, you know, that's cybersecurity, anti-money laundering. That's a huge space area that I think will always exist so long as the internet is up and running and so long as there are people out there who engage in criminal activity or engage in trying to launder their money. So I think this, you know, there's definitely some room for innovation around cryptocurrencies and blockchain, especially around anti-money laundering. Okay, so AMLT token, this one, if you are interested in that space or area, I would suggest you have a look at. Personally, I don't think I'll invest in this token, but I think it is an area that you should watch out for, or at least keep an eye on if you are interested in making some money. Finally, there was a recent video on CNBC talking about, you know, 3 keys to crypto portfolios. And one of the ones that I really highlighted was strong community. Now, because I'm a community manager by day, and because that was the strong community aspect was one of the reasons why I got interested in Bitcoin back in 2013, I think it's great that they actually put that down, because this is a case for a lot of community managers, like, why are communities important? You'd think that that's just be a no-brainer, but it actually really makes a difference. So if you have a strong community base for your token, for your ICO, you're gonna have a very good, strong initial run. And so good technology, real world use, strong community, all right? Now let's say we just apply this even to the Bitcoin Core network, so BTC we're talking about, okay? Good technology, all right? Now, we've got the original Satoshi Bitcoin network design, all right? Great, good technology. But we're starting to see some scaling issues, and that 1 megabyte cap is now causing high fees and slow confirmation times. Don't know if that's making for a good key to a crypto portfolio. Real world use, well, now because of those high fees and because of the slow confirmation times, it's very difficult to actually have day-to-day trade, commerce, right? Utility. This is why Satoshi had talked about electronic peer-to-peer cash, okay? So already, if we were to apply these 3 simple things to the Bitcoin BTC network, good technology, real world use, already falling on itself, okay? And I was showing you with Bitcoin Cash, the good technology, it's going with the original Satoshi design. Low fees, fast transfer transaction times, okay? Real world use, yours.org. If we go back, yours.org. It's now having some good real world applications, okay? Pay attention to these things, guys. All right. And if Bitcoin Cash ever started failing on that, then, you know, that would be a signal for you to move as well, or to, you know, be ready to move if that took place. OK. And the strong community. Bitcoin Cash is now attracting a lot of those people who were involved with BTC Bitcoin in the early days because it was a Bitcoin they fell in love with. All right. So these are the things to watch out for. These are the things to look for. And that is the wrap up of my Sunday sermon. Number 5, take 6. But yeah, that's it from me, guys, for the week of the Bitcoin and surrounding ecosystem. Hope you guys have a fabulous rest of the weekend, and I will see you again next Sunday. And this time I will ensure that I have better internet connection. or at least I'm somewhere else, not where I live, because the internet man, I can't believe it. 6 rounds, 6 rounds. All right, guys, and also remember, on the 16th of December, I will be launching my intro to Bitcoin Cash. Sorry, my crash course to Bitcoin Cash course. On the 16th. So just putting in final touches. It's a combination of videos that I have been doing on Snapchat, and it's very casual. It's meant to be like that. Hopefully more relatable, but still informative. Because one of the things I found is that the Snapchat style of videos seem to work really well for folks who are just wanting very simplified ways of explaining things, and also a little bit more engaging, easier. Because I don't know if you know, but a lot of online courses, actually, people don't finish them. Maybe they finish about 20-30% of them. So I'm very aware of that. Okay, so yep, leave it with that. And if you guys have any more questions, remember, post them up in the Facebook group. Remember, the show will be coming out in January, and yeah, every Sunday we'll continue to commit to these sermons and answer any of your questions. All right, guys, have a good weekend. See you soon.